in a film littered with male and female nudity, we just couldn't take our eyes off those eyebrows. Jamie?
Yes.
Let's go watch Personal Best.
Well, hello there, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Good Times, Great Movies. I am one half of the good time, Jamie Lorello. And that would make the great movie DP McCambridge?
Sure. Yeah, why not?
There we go. All right. Here we are in your ears talking about always 80s movies.
I didn't want to jump right into it because I do have just a couple small things to say.
I want to know about them.
Jamie, I received a gift from a listener.
A gift of a listener?
Well, not a gift of a listener, a gift from a listener. I received a gift from someone who listens to us. And not that I'm not saying this to encourage other people to send gifts. And I'm not saying this because now you need a gift. You need someone to send you a gift. And I will show you, the audience cannot see the gift. And to you, it will be backwards since we're Skyping, but maybe you can describe it to people.
Okay. Oh, yes! That's a great shirt!
Yes. So it is the Dick Nose shirt that Styles was wearing in Teen Wolf. So our listener, Tara, gave me this. Yes. So we thank her. That's so nice. Like,
that is awesomely nice.
We don't do this to get stuff, but we certainly appreciate it.
That's great stuff to get. That's great stuff to get. Thank you, Tara.
So, again, I'm not trying to guilt another listener into getting you anything, but somebody should.
I need nothing but listeners.
Maybe somebody could fashion one of those bubble wrap masks that were in Buckaroo Banzai for you.
I would wear it. I would wear it every night while I read my magazines in bed. I would do that. I would.
Oh, and also just, I think... At the end of our Red Sonja episode, I had said that I had heard of this movie.
Uh-huh.
I don't know how many people have heard of this movie. Had you heard of it?
I thought I had, but I was thinking of a totally different movie.
I think you did ask if Eric Stoltz was in it, right? Wasn't that how it...
No, Eric Roberts. I thought it was a karate movie with Eric Roberts, and it is not at all.
This title could be applied to a number of different sports movies, I guess. All right, yeah. So we are here, and we're talking about Personal Best from 1982.
82, early 80s.
Yeah, and a movie that takes place in the past, because it takes place in 79.
Yeah.
And it's directed...
Is it based on real events? Do you know?
Well, I don't think it's based on... I mean, it's based on the real event that the U.S. boycotted the 1980 Olympics.
Uh-huh.
Because they were held in Russia.
Right.
And then Russia boycotted the 84 Olympics.
No, but
Right. No. I don't think this is... I don't think these are real people, if that's what you're saying.
Okay. That was what I was sort of asking, yes.
But what a great question, and one that we probably should have checked on before.
Because it almost would make a little more sense if these were based on real events.
Right.
Why things got so goofy. Why did things get so goofy and so dramatic?
And it would be because...
So emotional.
Well, I noted that Scott Glenn's character's name is Terry Tinglove, which sounds like a real name. Like, that sounds like such a terrible name.
That it would have to be. Right.
I don't think this is real. Oh, man, we should have checked on that.
I don't think it is. I'm going to say it's not. I'm going to say they would have gave us a blurb in the beginning.
You're right, yes.
About, like,
or something at the end, after these Olympics.
Yes.
Chris Cahill? What's her name?
Cahill? Well, I called her Muriel for half of it.
Well, I think that's fine.
Because I didn't realize her name was Chris. I didn't actually hear them say her name.
Amazing. Excellent. All right.
Yeah. So, there's that.
Is this the movie we've done the least amount of research on? Yeah, character names. Who cares?
What are they? Girl A and Girl B, right?
Okay, so yeah, this is a movie about the Olympics because the Olympics are right around the corner.
Yes, it's our Olympic movie.
Jamie, I assume you're rooting for Bulgaria?
Always.
Right? Is that okay?
Always.
All right. Okay.
Big
Great.
Bulgan fan. I used to have a Bulgan boyfriend.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what that means. Did you think that you were having a volume issue when the opening credits rolled in?
That's how my notes start. The opening credits are silent. There's
Complete
no music.
silence.
There's no breathing. There's a lot of breathing in this movie, but there's not even
Yes.
breathing during the opening credits.
And there's no...
And it goes on for so long.
Yes, yes. I was like, shit, no, this must be my volume's messed up. I must have an issue.
Oh, no. And even after I checked the volume, I didn't believe it. Like, then I thought, oh, no, something's just broken because it's not on mute, but I still can't hear anything.
But then you do. Then you do.
You do.
hear,
I think you hear breathing.
You see some sweat. I think our first view is right. The sweat just dripping off of
Yeah, Mariel
people
Hemingway's
onto the
face
ground.
comes into frame very close up, sweat dripping off of her, and she's running a track meet or something. I was confused by a lot of this movie, and I don't think
Me
that I
too.
should have been.
I know. Maybe I feel like maybe I'm not a runner, and I'm not a track and fielder, and I'm not a lesbian. And I think if I were any of those things, I might better have understood parts of this movie. Like maybe if you,
I feel like the runner aspect probably would have given you the most information about the film.
Sure,
Like that's
exactly.
what I didn't. Not that I understand lesbianism, but I could understand the relationship parts of this film
right,
much more than. It took me a long time to realize that she's in college.
I kept thinking, I didn't even know that. And I kept thinking, are they at the Olympics now?
Right.
Is this the Olympics?
Is
Every
this
time
the-
they were like in training or something, I was like, are they at the Olympics?
Well, early on, I'm like, this looks like a crappy high school track meet. Like,
Yes.
this looks pretty terrible.
Right.
But even as they progress and they're training and the meets are, I guess, getting more and more prestigious, and then there's like the Olympic trials, it doesn't look any different
No.
than this first scene.
No.
It still looks as amateurish, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it does get a little dramatic. We although we don't see much more of Chris Muriel Hemingway's father, we see her in the beginning, right, or him in the beginning.
We do.
And he like shakes her, doesn't he? Just like first, he seems like he's a nice guy. She's like lost her
Yep.
run or didn't do good in her run and or her race, and he's kind of like
She's not a very
"It's
good
okay."
athlete for the first half of this movie.
No,
She's
it's
falling
true.
down,
She
breaking
falls
her
over
legs.
herself. Yeah. She breaks her knee at one point. I don't know how she does that, which is gross when they snap it back in. I'm like, and she's just screaming, and they're like,
Yeah. No, but you're right. Her dad is, I guess, her coach, and she doesn't do well in this run. And you're right. At first, he seems to sort of console her, and then he
Right.
takes her into the bleachers and is basically like, you know what, you're pretty terrible. Like, that was awful.
yeah, and she's like crying, and it's very awkward. But I don't even think. Later we see him one other time when he awkwardly like. So there's Chris, who's in these races, and then there's Terry.
Everybody has manly names in this movie.
This is true. Yes,
So Terry is another athlete.
a better athlete,
An older
allegedly.
athlete too, and we see that she's doing really good at these games.
Yes.
She's a pentathlete, which means that she does,
she does
5
5?
events.
Yeah.
And I guess at this point,
I didn't realize that when he first said pentathlete. I really thought to myself, "Oh, is that another kind of like event that they do? Is that what they call themselves?" Like, but then I really dissected the word and really thought about it because that was how much I was like, "Who's throwing and running and jumping
Right.
and what's hurdles and this?" But again,
yeah, and
not
I
a track and
guess
fielder.
at this point Hemingway's just doing hurdles, right? Or maybe
Yes,
she does
I think she's just
multiple-
doing-
Okay,
No, I don't know. She's not penting yet.
she is not penting. No.
Because she doesn't know how to throw
No.
or jump over that bar.
And I thought the next scene when they're in the restaurant was really weird.
Yes, it was.
Because
Well,
she
first of
seems
all-
all out of it. Like, she seems wasted or something. Like, she seems high as a kite.
Muriel Hemingway.
Yeah, she kind of walks
Yes.
out of the bathroom and knocks into a guy, and
Well,
food's
this
all over
is
the
the-
floor. And she's like, I haven't eaten.
This is when we see the last of her dad, is when her
Mm-hmm.
dad awkwardly goes to introduce her to Terry, and Terry's having dinner with, I guess, a bunch of other athletes and coaches. And yeah, she's like, I don't know if we're meant to think that she got really drunk, Muriel Hemingway, but
I thought she went into the bathroom and did coke or something. Because she
Well,
goes
she does
into the
hold her nose,
She goes
right?
into the bathroom, comes
Yeah.
out, and is just loopy.
and doesn't she hold her nose in the bathroom or do something by her nose? I remembered seeing like
Maybe.
she puts her hands to her face or something.
It was the 80s, Jamie.
I know, you never know. Well, they do. I mean, it's not like they don't do drugs for Olympic
These
athletes.
are the most
I thought they-
unhealthy Olympic athletes ever.
Beer and pot. That's what the Olympic diet is off of.
Empty beer bottles everywhere. There's pizza boxes all over the place.
How hard are we training here, team?
Mm-hmm.
How hard are we training?
But Tori drives Chris home.
Well, I like.
But I guess,
Tori's-
does Tori drive Chris to her home?
Well, they have a conversation first in the car, and then yes, they do end up back at Tori's house.
Right.
Because I think, well, doesn't, when they have the conversation in the car, so Tori's car won't start at 1st. And then the conversation gets heavy really fast because Muriel Hemingway is very emotional.
She
because
just
she's
breaks
wrecked,
down
I
and
guess.
starts
Yeah, she just
crying.
starts sobbing, right? Then all of a sudden, I guess, Terry try to make things better, and Leiter makes a joke, and next thing we know, they're
It is
like,
it is a great cutscene because Muriel Hemingway is crying and sobbing, and then it just
Yeah.
cuts to her laughing hysterically while smoking a joint. So it is really nice, and I guess you get the idea that Terry
Terry.
can like
No, Tori.
Okay.
No, it's Tori. No, it's Terry. No, it's Tori. It's Tori.
wait, is it Tori?
Yes. It's
Oh,
Tori and
the
Chris.
coach's name is Terry. Oh,
Terry.
jeez. I think that this night together might be one of my favorite parts of the movie because there's lots of
Definitely.
weird stuff happening. They're
Yeah.
burping and farting a lot, and they think it is hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah.
She literally does the pull my finger joke to her. And at one point, Muriel Hemingway says she's Native American?
Yeah, and they reference that a couple of times. They ask her which one's the native Indian, and they talk about where she's from. And at one point, I thought, because there's a point when the coach comes up to Muriel Hemingway when she's like stretching and she's near a truck, and he asks her something about being a native, or is your mom or dad the Indian? And I was like, is he on the reservation with her? Like, how does he know that because she doesn't look like
Is that
she
the
is.
scene where two random people on horseback ride by in the background?
Yes. Where are we?
I was thinking, I was like, I don't think they were supposed to be doing that.
No.
I don't, that was not a closed set, and they just rode by on their horses. Yeah, so she's Native American, I guess,
Yeah.
and
They're clearly bonding.
they're bonding,
And-
but we
yes.
have to see that they are competitive and that they are athletes.
Oh, so they decide to arm wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
Very intense.
Very intense. Lots of
Very
close-ups.
sweaty. Yes. I like how even before we arm wrestle, Tori takes her shirt off, not like her sweatshirt. She's got a little tank top on. Chris takes off her wristwatch, and the arm wrestle is on. And Muriel Hemingway gets very serious about
But
it.
you're right that she's very intense. And at first, Tori is kind of laughing this off, but then she gets intense.
Yeah,
and
because
they
they're both
wanna
competitive.
win.
Yeah.
And it's basically a draw, right? Like,
Yeah, pretty much, because they go at it for so long, and they both get so intense
mhm.
that it's sort of like watching Red Sonja sword fight with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, it's just so exhausting that they both just decide,
Oh, and Jamie, before this movie, I didn't think I had a type, but those eyebrows, again, and this is not a euphemism, folks. I'm talking about eyebrows. Again, her eyebrows don't quit, and I loved it.
Yeah, and you loved every hairy brow,
Every
every meat in the middle,
every tight
crow
shot
neck.
of those eyebrows.
Yeah.
Great. great.
And they were sweating.
I'm not into unibrows. There has to be a division, but the eyebrows themselves have to be large.
Thick.
Mm-hmm.
A thick. Well, there you have it.
Yeah.
They're very intense on her face. I think especially because her hair is so blonde and her brows are brown.
So dark. So dark.
So the contrast.
It's just like they were drawn on with a brown Sharpie.
Yes.
And that's what I'm into, I guess.
I guess so. Oh.
All right.
Well, so they're chatting and they're bonding. Goes on to all of a sudden, right? Do you call it sudden?
Yeah, I guess.
The nipples and the tickling?
Well, well, they do kiss, right? Tori kisses her, and then she says, "Did you like that?" And she's like, "I don't know. What if I did it again? I don't know." It's weird dialogue. Like through half this movie, Hemingway whisper delivers her lines.
Yes.
There were a lot of times where I was like, I did not understand anything.
I don't know what she said.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Yeah, but they do kiss, and then it dissolves into them, I guess, post-sex.
I think
they're totally naked, laying there, and this is when the conversation got really weird and very strange, and I was waiting for some sort of serious family incest issue to pop up. Because at first I guess, what is she doing to Tori? She's kind of just running her hands.
She's tickling her. She's she's gently rubbing her, and she says that she's a professional at this. Her brothers used to make her do this to them all the time.
My dad and brothers used to pay me for tickling. What? What does that mean? And
it means she was raised in a brothel, in an Indian reservation, apparently.
And I, of course, and I'm sure you did too, had flashbacks of Sleepaway Camp when she says, now her phrase is just a little bit different, but, and this is where it even got more disturbing, is that her brothers used to say that she's a carpenter's dream, flat as a board and easy to nail. Her brothers said this to her.
Yes,
and later on in the movie, the guy she meets, pretends to be her brother. Remember? She gets called over.
Creepy
your brother's here to see you. And I expected her to just turn and run the other way. Oh no, my brothers. That was very weird. I think I kind of chalked it up to the tickling she was doing. Maybe that was the equivalent of back scratching. Maybe.
I don't know. She was pretty specific, saying
I can't imagine that her dad and brothers were in a sexual relationship with her.
But again, we don't see the dad ever again in this movie. So
no, we do later. Remember, they're at home. That's when she tells her dad that she's going to train with what's his name? That's
right.
Yeah, but we never see her brothers ever. So maybe that was a lie. I don't know. But that was very weird.
I agree. Right. I agree.
Now, this is sudden because right after this, it appears that Chris and Tori are living together and have been living together for some time.
It moves very quickly into them living together, and we're also treated to a little beach montage, right, where they run together on the beach to a Billy Joel song,
which is played twice. She's listening to it on those giant headphones when she's working out in the countryside.
When she's stretching, yeah. So if I'm understanding this right, like you said, Chris is in college.
Let's get into it.
Or getting into college, right?
Okay, I think.
Because she could get a full ride.
Right,
that's what
her dad says. When she says that this guy, what's the coach's name again? Terry,
yeah.
Played by Scott Glenn, is going to coach her. Her dad said, well, what are you getting? What percentage? Or are you going to, is it free or whatever?
What does he get out of it? Right.
Yeah, and she's like, no, there's no... Nobody even says scholarship. That's what I was so confused about.
Yeah, why it was confusing.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Tori clearly is not in college. She's just going out for the team, for the Olympic team, right?
I guess. I could have.
And so
I
that's
could have used
what
some
I thought.
classroom scenes.
Yeah.
I really could have, like, just to establish, like, you are in college. This is your day-to-day activities. But no, it's all just training.
I really appreciated when at the end, when they were in the competition, the final, like, Olympic competition, I guess, when you actually had the announcers, the sport announcers, because at least you kind of knew what was going on. And I felt so much bad. I was like, I wish they were here the whole movie. I would have understood a whole lot more.
But Tori has to be a student because she participates in the student games in Mexico.
Oh, I guess that's true.
So maybe she's a senior? She seemed a lot older.
She's older.
She seemed a lot older
definitely
than that.
older.
But
Well, she wants her girlfriend to be on the team.
right.
Right?
And tries
Her
to
new
convince
girlfriend.
Scott Glenn of this, and he's having
Yes.
none of it. He says
Yeah.
she could be part of the team, but he is not training her.
Right.
So I guess she just wanders around and cleans up after races, right?
She's kind of like the bat boy for them, I
Pretty
guess.
much.
Of sorts.
The water girl.
Yeah.
Because he does finally let her run.
And that's when she falls, right?
When she just flat. She doesn't even take a step. The guy shoots a little starter pistol and she just goes straight down.
But she set up her block thing wrong. There's that foot thing that they have to hammer in.
I kind of enjoyed that. Like, I loved seeing that. I was like, oh my God, I didn't know they had to set this up themselves. Like, I didn't know what went into those blocks. I thought they were just like on the track. I don't know anything.
That's what I
Yeah.
thought. And then I think that if you're a runner into track and field, this movie was probably a little more entertaining for you because you could relate, or at least more relatable, you know? Even with some of the running scenes and some of the, you know, like the coach really kind of gets them running up beach cliffs, and there's a lot of heavy breathing,
There's
like
a lot
you
of
said,
running,
while
yeah.
they're running. And,
If you like to
and-
watch people run for some reason,
or if you
there's
can
like
relate
2
to that,
hours and 10 minutes of it here.
and the throwing, and then just bodies. Oh, well, we didn't get there yet. We'll get there.
Bodies. I know where you're going. But
Okay.
so she runs this race where she falls down, but then ends up coming in third. Like, she does
Yeah,
really
yeah.
well. But she's so mad. And it's not the only time in this movie. She says this twice when she does something badly. She wanders through the frame and just goes, shit, fuck, piss, goddamn son of a bitch.
She does have kind of like a Tourette's,
Uh-huh.
you know, breakdown. I remember, yeah.
Yep. But then he says that he will coach her.
Yeah,
He sees
yeah.
that she has talent,
Mhm.
I guess. And then all the girls play football. And it was probably my favorite part of the entire movie. This montage was just great. All these female athletes are playing football, and then the male coaches have pom-poms and are cheerleaders.
Yeah, and they're cheering them on. Yep. And then after said football game, all the women get naked and go into the steam room.
Everybody's naked in the steam room.
Full naked, nipples and bush everywhere.
The one thing I did find out is that a lot of those women are Olympic athletes.
Oh, really?
Hmm. The guy she ends up with later, he's
Yeah, the
an
swimmer
Olympic
guy.
athlete.
That's why that accounts for his shitty acting.
Right. He wasn't a swimmer, which is weird. He was a runner, but I guess because they already had runners, they were like, I don't know, let's just
They
make
were
him
like,
a swimmer.
just call him a swimmer.
No,
Yeah.
but he was in a couple Olympics. I think he won bronze
Oh.
in one of them.
Well, see, again, then I guess if you are an athlete, this movie brings you almost, you know,
I guess. But you're right.
Some-
They're totally naked balls. Like,
and they have naked ball. There's no balls involved.
no,
There's,
not yet.
but they're no, not yet. Is right. And the women in the steam room, they talk about like men's penises, and they make jokes about Chinese man's penises. Remember, they make small talk.
Yeah. Did you understand that joke?
No.
Okay, good.
I didn't. I thought that was just literally like.
I felt just like Miro Hemingway because everybody else is laughing and she's like, I don't get it, and I'm like, listen, I'm right there with you.
I'm with you.
I
I'm
know
with
it
you.
was veiled racism, but I did not understand the joke.
But these ladies, these sweaty ladies, they loved
They thought
it.
it was great. Yes. So they do then go to Mexico.
I wrote South America, Mexico. I wasn't sure.
Mm-hmm. Well,
where
I think
it
there was just a little sign that says "Student Games," and maybe it said Mexico underneath it. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. In Mexico, they approach a food cart, right? Or Muriel Hemingway does. knocking other little Mexican ladies out of the way.
These women are
as these
gigantic.
giant Olympians come through.
I like it when she says something like, "I'm so tall," and the girl next to her is like, "How do you think I feel?" And she's huge. She's gigantic.
She's like the Andre the Giant of like Olympic women. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's ginormous. Well, so Muriel Hemingway is the only one that buys food from this food cart, right? Looks like she buys some Hickey Mud, but she must buy some kind of, I don't know what she buys.
Well, the one girl even says, "Do you think you should really buy that?" And I was like, what does this have to do with this movie?
But I like how they point, because all of a sudden, this is a very weird transition, don't you agree? How now all of a sudden, so they're kind of laying in their bunk beds or wherever they are, camping out for their Mexico games, and Muriel Hemingway is like in doubled over in pain.
She looks like she's in like a heroin den or something. It's so dark. It looks damp. Everything looks dilapidated, and and she's just doubled over in pain. Mm-hmm. She won't, like, people are trying to like get her up.
Well, it looks like Terry comes over, or Tori comes over, and it looks like she's trying to give her the Heimlich maneuver, like, to help her, like, feel better. But as it turns out, she has, a doctor, right? Is it a doctor?
It's a medical student who doesn't speak English. But
right.
I guess he is also a participant in the games, because he just has on, like, a jumpsuit like all of them do. But that's the best they could do.
Right. He rubs her abdominum and it diagnoses her with food poisoning.
Did you say abdominum?
I did.
Love it.
So
sorry, I didn't mean to. I know where you're going with this, but so I didn't mean to break that up. But
because I did say that, he diagnoses her with food poisoning, and then gives her the most interesting medicine.
I didn't know this.
I guess I didn't either. And hell's bells, you get food poisoning, you smoke opium, you will feel a lot better.
Apparently, it just relieves the cramps. Is that what he says?
I think that's what he tells her that it'll do. I like that he's got an opium pipe and opium on hand at any time, getting ready for these Olympic Games.
I mean, he's a medical student, Jamie. I assume that's in the kit that you are given when you enter medical school. Mm-hmm. And then, see, I didn't know where any of this was going, because they're laying there. You can tell that Chris is very, very sick, and Tori tries to get away from her. Yeah.
But then Chris begs her to stay because she's tripping on opium.
Mm-hmm. And she has food poisoning.
Right.
Maybe not the best medicine to give someone.
I mean, when in Mexico, I guess.
She seems great the next day.
No, she's fine. She's totally recovered.
And that's the problem with this. She was up all night, sick with food poisoning and smoking opium, and yet Tori is the one that has a bad day?
Well, now Tori's having a bad day the next day because she's obviously feeling some sympathy for her new love. And the coach points this out to her, doesn't he? Isn't he kind of like, don't quit and be a dick, basically, is what he tells her. Like, stick to it and don't just walk away.
Yeah, I mean, the coach throughout this entire thing, his role is team, competition, sport above all else. Stop with this stupid relationship and just focus on...
I like his freak out at the end when he tries to get it on, if you will, with Muriel Hemingway. But how he's like, I could have been a coach for, like, a football coach, and I'm coaching females. Females, you hear? So you could tell this is not maybe the path he had chosen.
It's right out of a league of their own. Like, it's just like, and he's not going to feel bad or complain to the coach because somebody didn't throw him the ball.
Right.
All right. You don't have to do this job, right? Like,
but yeah, the coach gives her what for. She, Tori and Chris have a very, because then Tori does good, right? Does Tori do good in her race here? She runs a great race here.
No, Tori does not do. Chris does well.
Oh, that's what I meant. Chris runs a good race. Sorry.
Tori does not.
Gets
do well. Reamed out by the coach. And then the most 70s party breaks out.
It opens with the flip-flops with socks, right? Our first shot is like, we're at a party. We know this because someone's wearing flip-flops and socks.
It's a great party. Like
There's penis balloons.
There's
Pot. There's beer.
There's a lot of pot in this movie.
Yeah.
And like, I always feel like movies are probably becoming more liberal as time moves on. But a movie like this, where you see many naked women sitting around.
Yeah, some of the movies we've seen.
Yeah, you see pot, opium, full frontal guy later. We'll get into that. Our second time in, 4 movies? Like, that stuff's done in movies now, or else I'm just watching the wrong movies.
No, it's true. I'm sort of shocked and this movie is definitely one of them where I'm shocked at some of the material that is. I'm like, oh wow, I guess that was okay then, or underlooked or overlooked or
it wasn't a big deal. Like, I assume this was a big movie, not a hugely popular movie, but this had a wide release. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Had that star power of Scott Glenn behind it.
Oh, jeez. Well, it was a breakthrough role for Muriel Hemingway.
Yes.
Right?
Well, she was in Manhattan, right? That Woody Allen movie a few years before this, but I think that was it, and she didn't have a huge role in that. Did you like the guy playing the guitar and singing a folk song?
The folk singing guitar?
A folk song about steroids. Like,
very weird.
Terrible.
Very weird. Yeah. Doesn't he later on show... he does he makes his belly button talk.
Yep. I don't know if it's the same guy, but it's very weird. Yes.
I think it's similar guy, or maybe not the same one. But Tori gets shit-faced because she sees Chris talking, kind of flirting with another guy. Chris seems to be more bi. She's not as committed to the lesbian relationship.
Right.
And
even though
Tori
she says she is, like they're in
she does. They live together.
Partnership, a domesticated. You see them like doing dishes together and stuff like that.
Cooking dinner together. Yeah. This is where then Terry gets so drunk and the coach pulls her out of the party, right? Tori, sorry. Yeah. Terry pulls Tori out of the party. And Tori, there's a lot of emotion.
Yeah, she's crying. They have a weird relationship too, and it makes me wonder, did Terry and Tori get together at some point? Probably.
In the very beginning, and then throughout moments, I thought, were they dating at one time? Because there's another time when Chris watches Tori and Terry together. Yeah, and they kind of look flirty. And even in the very beginning, when that first race we saw, I thought that he was, because she mentioned something. I thought that Tori did mention something in the beginning about, like, oh, he can't keep up with me or something like that. Yeah,
they have a real flirty relationship, at least early on.
And if you remember, again, to reference the scene that comes later when Chris is at Terry's house because she's recovering from her knee thing. There's a picture of Tori over his bed.
What? Wait, I totally missed that.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Because
at first I was like, wait a minute, are they at Tori's house? Whose house are they at? I think they're at Terry's. And they are. There's a picture of, it's very weird relationship that
great.
they have.
I did not notice that. That's amazing. At this point, this is where Terry offers Chris a full ride. This is where I was like, oh, okay.
Yes.
She's in college. He's a college track and field coach.
I guess. But specifically for those training to be in the Olympics, maybe? Or maybe the college itself.
I don't know.
I
don't know because then at the end, they're from different schools, right? We see the name of their schools on their little track uniforms.
So maybe he's the coach.
And they have different schools, but they're all training together.
That's what makes me think he's training them just for the Olympics.
So why is he offering her a full ride? Does he have that jurisdiction as an Olympic coach?
Maybe she comes to them representing her school.
So then he can get the school to give her the scholarship.
Maybe.
Folks, we are not
We
athletes.
Don't know. We're not privy to this sort of information.
Just to let you guys know.
This knowledge is not at our personal best.
Nope.
That's for sure.
This is our personal worst as far as research and understanding of a movie. And we watched Buckaroo Banzai. So this is kind of where we start to see a rift in Tori and Chris's relationship because Terry says you get a full ride, but you have to train with me over the summer. Right? You have to stay at school on campus. You have to stay with me. I don't know what the deal is, but she has to train with him. And this is the part where she's stretching and hurts herself and people ride by on horses. Then she talks to Tori about it, and they both kind of come to the consensus that they're going to train together over the summer.
And then why is Tori looking for boxes?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well,
what? What? Sorry, the next scene I have them running up a sand dune and it takes like 25 minutes.
They are, yes. I said I have slow motion running in the sand and the coach is hanging out sunbathing while they were just running.
And he's just drinking beer. Like there's a point where he's sitting in the stands just drinking beers, yelling at that guy who's running.
Yes. Then when he's randomly...
he's having so much fun.
He is. He's a fun coach.
But this is one point where, and I did read that Hemingway trained for a year before doing this. And when they were running up that sand dune, like for a long time, I'm like, this is in real time. This is very steep. It's not easy to run through sand. And they were doing it and doing it well. Like I would not be able to
doing it well.
That's right. LL Cool J was there. Wait, was that LL Cool J? Right?
It was. Yes,
okay,
it was.
Right.
Good job.
Yep, I know my late. I know my late '90s LL Cool J songs.
Yeah, you do. No, there is a lot, and even at the end when they run the final race, the facial expressions and you could tell there was some real running going on here, some real athleticism. And again, if you are an athlete watching these very slow motion, scenes of running and working out, might feel like, oh, that's what it feels like. I
don't want to say that I know your final judgments, but I assume it will be. If you're an athlete, you'll probably like this movie. If not, I don't know. Anyway,
somewhere in there.
So it seems as though his ultimatum of train with me if you want a full ride really comes to nothing because it seems like they're both training with him.
Yes, because they're, and I think his other deal did he make him tell her yet to do the...
Right. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yes. A full ride if she becomes a pentathlete. And she has an issue with that because she can kind of see that he's trying to replace Tori.
Right. And
as
I think
she's getting older, yes.
Right. I think that's where the tension comes in between them because there's just some tension that happens because they both are in the same races and now have to, do they want to beat each other? Can they beat each other? That sort of thing. There's a birthday party, though, for Chris.
Yep, for some reason.
Right? Yep, just randomly. It's a birthday, and everybody celebrates.
There are times, during this birthday party scene, there are times where Mariel Hemingway looks like 25, and there are times where she looks 12. Like, during this birthday scene, like, she looks so young. Like,
yes. And she sounds young, too. There's sometimes she
talks
this really
like a baby.
Squeaky voice. Yes. And then when she cries and on top of it, you're just like, oh my gosh.
I hope she's not listening to this.
I know. Well, it was her first. She was young then.
I know.
I know.
I just don't want her to do anything drastic.
You want to keep getting T-shirts from your fans, right? Including Mariel Hemingway. Please send a T-shirt.
I hope it's just her eyebrows.
You should shave your chest hair into the shape of her eyebrows.
I'm just imagining a T-shirt where it's just a close-up of her forehead. They don't even see a nose or eyes. It's just eyebrows.
It'd be pretty awesome. It'd be titular.
Sure.
It'd be your personal best T-shirt, so it'd be titular.
You're right, it would be. Anyway.
Anywho, this is where, okay, now we have more training shots. Again, I never knew if they were actually in the Olympics, and this was like Olympic training, but there's more training shots.
Yeah, because she has to train for her other events.
Right, because she's got to do she's not just running the hurdles now. Did you notice this? The slow motion high jump.
All the crotch shots.
Crotches. Slow motion, crotches landing over. Sometimes you almost see the vagina poking out of the shorts. Sometimes you see just underwear. Sometimes you see just full-blown crotch and face.
It is just an odd
endless.
fetish.
It's endless.
It's like a 2-minute fetish porn of just crotches. They are just crotches. Like, you don't see the person's face. The camera is positioned right above the mat. Yeah, it's upsetting. Like, it was very weird.
Yes, I agree.
Well, this is like the middle section of the movie, and it really is just a huge training montage because there's weightlifting, and she's doing the shot put and stuff like that, which I don't know. Like, you see the one, let's call her the larger girl on the team. And she's throwing a shot put, and that makes total sense. Yeah. I can't see 105-pound Mira Hemingway throwing that thing very far.
No, it looks like isn't that the thing that throws her backwards too when she tries to throw it the first few times?
Yeah, I don't know.
Or is she supposed to throw that
is
backwards?
It a hammer throw? What is she? I don't know what. I guess it's not the shot put, right?
No, I think it is. I don't know. And then there's the other one where they have to jump into the air and jump as far as they can. Yeah.
Oh, man. Olympic sports are so silly. Scott Glenn also kind of puts it in Chris's mind that Tori might be trying to sabotage her.
Yes.
Like giving her bad advice as far as weightlifting and training in general.
Right.
And Chris says that she's going to start training at the men's gym.
Oh, yes, that's right.
And that is it. They pretty much have a fight.
They have a fight about it.
And that's the end of their relationship? Or am I getting ahead of myself?
Is this the end of the relationship? No, well, this is when they do have a fight about it.
Yeah, it's kind of the beginning of the end.
Yes.
Yeah, like
there's a line that happens every once in a while. We fuck each other where they're trying to figure out their relationship. And
like how you're frantically looking through your notes. When do they break up? I don't know. I think it's after the leg thing, which is coming right up.
Oh, after she hurts her knee. Yeah. But this is when Chris does beg Tori to stay with her. Because she just tells her, I need you. And that's what, because Tori is on, this is awful. Tori is on the verge of being like, oh, if you can't really commit to me and really say that you're for me and that, none of this other stuff matters.
We should just see other people.
Also, yeah, exactly. We should also know, we didn't say it before. I think Terry, obviously being a winner, maybe has one other things. And when Chris talks to her earlier when they first met in the car about like being a winner and what does that feel like, Tori kind of brushes it off. Like, oh, whatever. Like,
right.
It's not a big deal, actually, to win, I realized. And later on, when we talked to the swimmer guy that she finds interest in, and he's also won a medal or medaled somewhere before, and she's like, what is it like? He's like, oh, actually, it's not a big deal.
I love that because I've thought that, too.
Yeah.
Like, when he says, she's like, oh, how was it winning the medal? And he's like, I was standing on the podium thinking... This is it? This is what I've been doing day in and day out for years and years. This is the end?
This is what I'm doing for it?
This? Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was pretty good.
I did too. I wanted to make sure to point it out.
Right.
Let's not to forget to mention that they sleep in a waterbed. Did you catch that? Yeah.
No, I caught that, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Because they go to bed after their fight and they tickle each other some, and they're in a waterbed.
And I feel like that's one of those things where they're like, okay, it's the 80s, but we got to make sure people know it's the 70s.
Right.
What are we going to do? Just these little touches. Your outfits, yeah. The haircuts, sure.
Done it.
But a waterbed, oh, that'll do it.
Did you ever want a waterbed?
I did because I remember in Growing Pains... when Mike Seaver lived above the garage, he had one, and I thought that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I've been on waterbeds, and I was never that impressed. So
I thought you were going to say I bit on a waterbed.
I bit on a waterbed just to see what would happen. Wait, Jamie, when you buy a new bed, you don't bite it? Just to... It helps you to get to know the bed.
Biting beds, don't you know?
And it
But
wasn't
yes,
my
so-
waterbed. I just bite strangers' beds when they're not looking.
Coming up is the dislocated knee, I guess, is what the accident really ends up being. But that's a dangerous accident to have when you're training for the Olympics, I would
It
assume.
is. And
Now, she was practicing the high jump.
was Tori sabotaging her?
Do you want to know my personal opinion?
I do.
No, I don't think she was.
Oh, I thought she was.
No.
Now,
I thought she was like a...
now, I understand that the tape sticks to her shoe,
Mm-hmm.
and then she walks away, so the tape is moved inadvertently.
Mm-hmm.
But she was trying to teach her a different technique. Remember,
Right.
she was like, you shouldn't take 5 steps.
You should take
You
longer
take
steps.
3 long
Yeah.
steps. And I kind of felt like that was trying to sabotage, changing the way that she does it. But I could be wrong.
See, I don't think that she was deliberately trying to be a saboteur. I do think she cared for her and wanted to help her. But maybe subliminally, because
Yeah.
she wanted to win, she was
Right.
sabotaging her. But I thought that the Tori truly did care for Chris and wouldn't have wanted
Okay. All
something
right.
bad to happen.
All right.
And she really did feel bad then when she did.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Tori did it, or Chris did it, takes this fall, starts screaming, everybody runs over to her. And it does become a thing where the coach is like,
Oh, yeah.
she did this to you. And then Tori's like, do you think I did this to you, you dumb Indian? And again, they call her a dumb Indian, which I don't understand the Indian reference, but there's more naked sauna, right?
Right. Yep. Right up. Well,
We
they
go
break
right-
up. This is
Yeah.
when
Oh,
they
yeah,
break up,
this is the breakup.
and then we're right back in the sauna.
No, where do you go after
So
a
I
big
assume
breakup?
that was a very long scene, and they're like, "We got to use this twice.
Yeah.
Let's just chop it up and sprinkle it throughout."
Just some naked heat. Again, some nipples, some bush.
Yep.
Unfortunately, this time we're not as happy when we're in the sauna. And a very annoying, there's Penny, the annoying one that's like, well, what'd she say? What'd she say?
Okay.
What'd she say? When she's kind of quizzing her, but yeah. Then, okay, so Chris, the Muriel Hemingway character, she does kind of cry randomly a lot and sounds like a baby.
She
and
does.
when she's doing her little exercises, or I think this is maybe when they're diagnosing the knee, she's at the doctor with the coach. She starts crying to the coach because she says, "Are you mad at me? I think I made you mad."
It was
And
very real. Like, that felt very real to me. She seemed like she was, I think that she thought she was letting him down. And her relationship
I
had
thought she was
just
being
ended.
I thought she was being a big old baby.
Oh, okay. Well, I was
But
like, listen, she just
I
broke
guess
up
you're
with her
right. She did
girlfriend.
just break up with her girlfriend.
And her career
now-
as an Olympic athlete may be
All right.
over.
All right. Maybe I'm being a little hard on her. Maybe she can be a little whiny if she wants to be. So now she goes back to live with the coach.
Right, because they broke up, but she's injured, so she can't really move her stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't like this scene for many reasons.
Me neither, yeah.
But it really paints the coach as a total creep.
Yes, I agree.
In that he has to try and make out with her, or they do make out briefly.
Yes, which is weird because they make out right after they both say how much they love or like Tori.
Right, yes.
They both agree that they like her.
But
and
why
then,
did they have to do this? Like, why did they have to make everyone who she has a relationship with want to sleep with her? Like, that was the weirdest thing. Like,
I don't know.
and again, I don't want to keep going back to her dad and her brothers, but why was that in there? And then Tori, and now Terry, and then she meets that other guy. It's like every character that she meets instantly falls in love with her.
In order to have your personal best, you have to go through a great many, I suppose.
I guess.
So that's the one reason I can come up with. But yeah, the whole scene disturbed me. It was sort of a weird, like misery moment where she can't move and she wants to answer the phone and he throws the phone violently.
I did think that was great where the phone keeps ringing, so I guess it's Tori calling, or
Right.
that's what he thinks. So
Right.
he throws the phone across the room, and it breaks a lamp, and then he picks up the cord and just unplugs it.
He's like, well, forget it. I also like that when he offers her ice cream and she's like, you have ice cream? He names like 15 flavors and she's like, not strawberry. And then he gives her a bowl of strawberry.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I got that too. What?
He's got like a freaking ice cream.
First of all, who keeps
shop in his
who has
kitchen.
rum raisin? That's the weirdest thing. And it is a brand, right? Isn't it like Haagen-Dazs ice cream?
Yes.
It's literally like they have to say that because they were paid X amount of money. Yeah, but then she kind of turns him down, and he's like, "You idiot!" He says to himself.
Yeah. Oh, is this when he makes the terrible? Yeah, he makes a terrible Marine joke, and the F faggot word comes out, and he makes.
Oh,
because he calls her like a Marine, like he tells this joke about a Marine and a gay guy meeting, and I don't.
And the
remember
Marine throws the
joke.
gay guy out a window, and he falls like 8 stories, and then the Marine walks by, and the gay guy says, "I don't blame you for that," or something.
Yeah.
I guess it was a joke. I didn't understand.
I think it was meant basically like because he's not sure if she's, I don't know, just maybe poking fun that she's bisexual. I don't know. I'm really not.
Oh,
sure.
I thought it was a comment on her relationship with Tori, where Tori's been doing these terrible things to her, but she still wants to be with her.
Right. Okay.
But either way, it's a stupid story. I didn't even write it down. It was so dumb.
Yeah,
but he was yelling all sorts of nonsense at this point.
Yeah, this is when he's just kind of, and then she just hits him in the neck randomly too.
Oh yeah,
like a weird punch in the neck that he's like,
him in the neck, right in the side of the neck.
But yeah, they kiss, but they don't have sex, and then he decides to take her back home.
Well, so she can move out, get her own place.
Mm-hmm.
And then he mentions to her that she should start swimming, that it's really good therapy
for her leg. Right.
Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm. And so she goes, he gives her the keys to the pool, and she goes to the pool. And while she's swimming and kind of swimming under the water.
Yep, lots of swimming shots.
She catches the eye of a fellow swimmer. Mm-hmm. Who also watches her while she stretches.
He cannot take his eyes off her when she's stretching.
And she's sort of oblivious to it.
Oh, she's
like,
totally oblivious to it. But I guess she's probably never trained with men before. I mean, not that it makes it okay that she doesn't notice that he's staring at her as her legs are just totally splayed out. Yeah, it is.
Well, then,
it is funny because he is an Olympic athlete. His name is Kenny Moore. Yeah. Oh, I even looked him up on Wikipedia just to see.
Okay.
And he's a really bad actor.
Yeah, he's pretty terrible.
Really terrible.
He's pretty terrible. They decide to spot each other, which is, I guess, what people do when they work out and how they buddy up in working out.
I love this when she stands directly over his face.
With her crotch right above him. And he keeps arching his back up. She's like, don't use your back so much. But her crotch is right in his face. She's sitting on his head.
He's looking right up her shorts.
She's just about teabagging.
And it's shot sort of from her point of view almost.
Yes,
so,
from her, navel.
So his face on this bench is obscured by her baggy shorts.
It's very weird.
It's a very strange shot. Oh, he tells her that he's not a swimmer, sorry. He plays water polo.
Water polo, that's right. Yes.
Wow. And she watches him play water polo, and my thought was, that looks both super stupid and a ton of fun at the same time. Like, I couldn't decide if it was either the most fun sport I've ever seen or that it was just a joke.
Or the lamest thing, yeah. It seemed very British. Do a lot of Brits play that game?
I don't know.
Or maybe it's an American sport. I don't know.
I don't know. British people play polo on horses?
Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's very British. Yeah, water polo. Yeah, water polo seems like something that we made up.
We would do,
like,
Let's do that in the water.
You can't put horses in water, so what can we do? how about like soccer in the water? Is that cool? That's us. That's Americans. That's how we talk.
I like your American accent.
That's how we are in the Olympics. Whatever. We're American. We'll get the most medals. Ugh. That's my American hating. I hope everyone enjoyed that. I'm not anti-American during the Olympics, but I do view the Americans in the Olympics as like our country's like the New York Yankees of the Olympics. Like we always win the most medals. And I'm not saying I actively root against America, but like when they're talking about the countries that are competing in an event, and it's like Estonia has never qualified for this event. I'm like, you know what? Go Estonia. Like, come on, guys, you can win this.
Go, guys. Take it home. Make the country proud.
Oh, so they have beer.
Tori is watching this lunch, this dinner, this meeting that they're having, creepily enough. She's like, and he points it out. I think he points it out. He's like, who the hell's that?
He's like, who's that creepo up there looking at us?
And then this is creepy when they get back to, they have this little lunch date, and then he takes her home. And he takes her home. She lives upstairs, and he kind of follows, like, creepily right behind. I was like, he opens the door for her, which she looks annoyed about because she's a lesbian, or I don't know, she doesn't need a man to open a door for her. Whatever. He opens the door for her and then walks right, like, hot on her tail, follows her up the stairs.
It is almost like, and this is, again, an example of him being a bad actor. It's as though she knew what she was doing in that scene. He had no idea what was happening.
He was like, follow her.
He did not know when the dialogue would start.
No.
Because he is right against her as they walk up a flight of steps. She checks her mail. This takes forever until anything is said. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's very, very weird.
Because then he just kind of turns around and has to walk all the way back down.
Yeah, well, before he walks back downstairs, he makes a mention he thanks her for letting him loosen up or letting him forget time or something, or slow down. Slow down.
Yes.
So then she takes a minute and she like chases him back down the stairs and jumps into his car and is just like, slow down or come spend time with me or something. So they
spend some time together.
That's true.
Because again, their interactions are terrible.
Yeah.
Like this is when he's in bed and she's making breakfast. Right?
Toast.
What's she doing?
It's not really breakfast. She makes toast and pours juice. That's what she makes.
And he is talking. They're watching a football game. He's talking. Oh my God. He's terrible. I'm sorry. Maybe he was a good swimmer or whatever he did in the Olympics.
No, but their interaction is pretty piss poor.
Wow.
And I like that I wouldn't be comfortable with this. He picks up her workout book, which looks like a diary, and is reading it. And she's like, hey, what are you reading my journal for? He's like, well, whatever. It's cute. Anyway, he finds out or figures out that it's from the roommate. Mm-hmm. And he knows that there's something up with the roommate. And then he leads on. He lets her know that it's obvious. Everyone around them knows the whole story about they're two good-looking girls that hooked up.
Right.
And so people know about them.
And he doesn't have a problem with it.
No.
He's totally cool with it.
Of course.
And I guess it's kind of liberating for her. She doesn't have to try and keep that from him anymore. Right. That's it.
And
they
it's
can move on.
So liberating. Mm-hmm. And they can move on to where... So he has to use the restroom.
Yep.
And she wants to hold his penis.
And he just gets right out of that bed with...
He's just naked.
That room is fully lit. I mean...
Yeah, there's no... And it's not a quick... It's not a quick shot, rather. Like, he's up, he's naked, he walks naked
and he slowly shuffles toward the camera, basically.
And then she wants to... Which, I don't know. You're married. You've dated... I've never thought...
Oh, please ask me if this has ever happened to me
before.
Because
have you ever?
The answer is
no.
no.
You and said, "Can I hold your penis while you pee?" I've just wanted to know what it's like to stand and pee. And while they're doing it, she's like, first he freaks out. He kind of gets a little shy, and he's like, I can't do it. She turns the sink on, which is a very good trick to get yourself to go pee-pee. And then she's like, am I doing it right? Am I aiming right? And I'm like, why are we watching this?
Why are we
What's happening right now? Where's the Olympics? Where's the high jumps?
Wonderful point. Why are we watching this? That's a great question. Because it does go from a full frontal shot of him, and I think the camera tracks them into the bathroom.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So then we're just seeing his naked butt. And I almost expected her to, like, pat him on the butt and be like, there you go. Good job. Because he finally says something like, oh, there it goes.
Yes.
Like, why is this in this movie?
Are we at the Olympics?
We're
at...
No. Remember.
We never get to the Olympics.
No, because they boycotted the Olympics. We are at the Olympic trials, which is funny because even at the Olympic trials, the coach makes reference to the fact that the U.S. has boycotted the Olympics. So I don't want to say, why are they doing these trials? Because these are competitions to see who goes to the Olympics. But why are they doing this?
I don't know.
Why are they competing?
I have no idea.
I guess it happened, though, right? I mean...
The Olympics or the competition?
No. I mean, the trials. Like, I guess the U.S. competitors...
They've been training.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why. I don't know, because honestly, too, the whole movie, Personal Best, and our Olympic movie, there was... I mean, yes, there was a lot of training, but there was a lot... Like, if I was training for the Olympics and I thought that...
All right, let me hear your regimen. Go ahead. How much beer and pizza are you going to consume?
Well, that's just the thing. If I was training for the Olympics, the last thing on my mind would be getting laid and partying and, like... Or at least that's what I would think. That you are just committed to... You know, and especially Muriel Hemingway's character goes from relationship to relationship to, like, where do you find the time to think about love? Shouldn't you be training?
Yeah, and it seems like she's been training for the Olympics for, what, a month and a half? Like
She's not really taking her shit seriously.
Exactly. Because when I think of Olympic athletes, I think of, like, these 14-year-olds that are plucked from their home by a coach, and it's just like, for 5 years, this is what we're doing. This is
all you do, right? You live in this boarding house, and all we do every day is get up and train and go to bed and train.
This seems so blasé, whatever, I don't know. I'm, like, because... And I always wondered, like, I was like, these Olympic athletes, like, they're kids, like, they're young. Like, why don't they have tattoos and crazy dyed hair and stuff? But I guess it is because they're sheltered. But she's acting more like a college freshman that just happens to be good at running the hurdles.
Right.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that. I was going to talk about that later because it doesn't make any sense.
No.
All right, so she and Tori kind of make up. In the cafeteria, they make up, they talk. They're like, hey, good luck, buddy. Yeah, you too.
Well, she kind of forces herself to. Chris does, because she has a conversation with the coach where the coach tells her not to talk to Tori. And just keep out of that. It'll ruin her game, her mojo. And then she kind of quits on the coach. Right? Because he's like, you're going to stay with me and you're going to listen to what I'm telling you.
I don't think she says I'm doing this my way, but it's kind of that.
It's like that. Right. Mm-hmm. So but then, yes, they make up. And
did you see, just in a quick shot of all this events or whatever, at one point she's talking, I think this is when she's talking to the swimmer boyfriend, the polo player.
Uh-huh.
In the background, there's a bunch of guys speed walking. Is that an event? Like, they are literally, like, not running. No, they're just speed walking. I'm like, that cannot be an event.
I think that they're, like, that's what you do before a race, like, to help keep all your joints, like, loose and stuff.
I hope you're right.
I don't think it's an event. I think it's one of the things they do to, like, loosen up.
Okay.
I think.
All right, okay.
No, there's a speed walking. It's called walk on your heels as fast as you can. Yeah.
Wow, that cannot be
all together in a group too. There's no real winner.
Nobody was in front. They were perfectly aligned. I thought it maybe just started, so nobody had gotten a lead.
I think that's part of their warm up.
So Chris is not doing well. She's slipping further and further down in the standings, and she gets a pep talk from the polo player who
her
pretends
brother.
to be her brother.
Yeah.
And she's not terrified by that.
No.
And then she does really well on the high jump.
Yeah, surprisingly. No one expected her to, right?
Right. And then The long jump, the one where they jump in the sand, is delayed because of rain.
At this point in the movie, I have to be honest, at this point in the movie, I kind of knew where we were going. We're almost to the 2-hour mark now, and I was like, what the hell? Rain delay. I felt like I was literally watching the Olympics, and you know how the Olympics are just on, and you're like, a rain delay? What? Like, can we just get this, or another commercial comes before they show the actual next piece or whatever? That's how I felt. I was like, look, can we just say who's going to win this damn thing? And where are we going with this? Where are we going with this?
And I almost assumed that while they were filming, it started raining, and they did not expect that. And it was just built in because there's no reason. Like, because Tori doesn't do well. And the commentators are even saying stuff like, it must have been because of the rain. I'm like, what? What is... Can you do that? Can you just be like, well, everything's wet, but just compete? Like, that's cool.
Yeah, it's wet, and
shouldn't you dry? Shouldn't you put a tarp over it or something?
They even say, look at her feet, how they're slipping from the rain, and they do. And so she doesn't do as well in her jump. But I'm telling you, those commenters made such a difference for me.
They helped. They helped because we finally know that it's the last race now.
Right. Well, before the last race, Tori and her long jump gets injured, right, and is in the back. I felt like she got hurt.
Oh, I just thought she did really poorly.
No, because then she's almost going to take herself out of the race, remember?
Oh,
and then Chris goes and finds her one last time to give her kind of one more pep talk. They both are hurt by each other, and they kind of have a little, another little deep conversation. And that's when we get to our last heavy breaths,
right,
and slow motion.
And
runs.
this is the race where we actually see the two of them competing against
each other. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what it is. Let's call it the 500 meter.
Okay. Yeah. Let's call it the run fast.
So they have to They have to run.
They are neck and neck at one time.
And everybody's kind of moving at the same speed, but you see people jockeying for position.
Right,
it's the thing where then when it's like the last lap, then it
gets intense. It gets really intense, yeah. So most of the race, Chris is in the lead. She takes an early lead.
Right. And you never bet on that horse. People that bet on things, first of all, I don't, so don't listen to me. But don't bet on the horse that's going to be in the front the whole time. It's going to get passed at the end.
Well, that's what happens. So in the end, who comes, and boy, does she push. She really does have to push herself. You can almost see her arms, like her muscles on her arms kind of flexing to push herself past everyone else. And she wins. The black girl comes in second.
Pooch? Yep, her name is Pooch. I did not know it before the end of the movie, but they say it about 87 times in a row. It's just Pooch. And Tori and Pooch and Chris. And Pooch got second. And Pooch is going to the Olympics. And too bad they're not participating where Pooch would be there. Like, that girl's name is Pooch? That's awful.
I tell you, I can't run like Pooch, that's for sure.
So, all three of them, Tori, Pooch, and Chris, they would qualify to go to the Olympics. They would have been Olympic athletes because they get first, second, and third in the pentathlon.
So they're all excited. They've made this is a great feat.
Yep.
They get congratulated by Chris's new boyfriend.
Sure.
And when they're on the podium, instead of looking at each other like, congratulations, we did this, we can't believe we trained so hard, Chris looks at Tori and is like, so what do you think? And she's like, well, he's cute for a guy, like they're having a whole, and
that's pretty much how it ends.
That's how it ends.
The end of this movie.
The personal best is what it was.
Well, I do know the answer to this.
Oh, PR, go ahead.
Because they are not participating in the Olympics. Their personal best times or personal best results are all they have. That's it. No medals, no nothing. And so that's it.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Well, then there you have it.
I don't want to say that we're going to say the same thing about this movie, but sometimes I feel like we are. I don't think I would recommend this.
Yeah.
I didn't hate it. I didn't think it was a terrible movie. It felt bloated. It felt very long. Mm-hmm. I was more into the relationship stuff than the sports stuff.
Well, I think it made it so that way. I think that I really did, going into it, think that it was probably about them training for the Olympics in a very kind of intense, one of those kind of intense sport movies. And it was really more about the relationships. And I didn't realize going into it there was going to be a lesbian relationship. I thought that was interesting. I thought it was
progressive.
Yes, thank you. I thought it was very progressive and
Sure.
very naked. A lot of it. It wasn't what I expected, but I don't think I would recommend it.
Yeah, I felt that the film was, do we call it brave because of what it did? Brave and sometimes so silly in its bravery.
Yeah, exactly. Even some of the conversations and some of the things, I think it was meant to feel very real, which I guess maybe it did at that time, but now that realness kind of came off more like cheesy, and I just didn't. Some of the things made me more uncomfortable.
I just felt like long stretches were so boring.
There was a lot of slow motion too. There was a lot of slow motion running and a lot of heavy breathing, and some of it was, again, if you were an athlete in training, and maybe that you get a little more into that because it's relatable, but it was just too much. And there was a point where you're the slow motion crotches. How many of them did we have to see? 2, and we know what we're doing.
This is 2 movies. You could have made it a movie about these 2 girls in college.
In
one's a freshman, one's a senior. No training, no nothing.
No nothing.
And
just
their
the
relationship.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you could have had a movie that was about training for the Olympics, and you could have focused on it and explained what the hell was going on, and were they in college, were they not? It kind of tried to do both, and it didn't do it very well.
Yeah. I agree.
All right.
Loaded is a good word.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
All right. So do you have any recommendations?
A movie that it reminded me of.
So another bad movie?
I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's a very early Brad Pitt film starring Brad Pitt and Ricky Schroeder, actually, called Across the Tracks.
I have not seen it. No. I don't even know if I've ever heard of it.
I think it was more like a made-for-TV movie. It was very cheesy. It was very early, very, very early on in Brad Pitt's career. And they are brothers who both compete in track and field. And again, it was a lot of running. It was much shorter, and I just felt that I remember there was a lot of running. And
Jamie's recommendation, it's a shorter movie. It's a shorter movie, raves Jamie Lorello.
Well, there you have it. What about you? What's your recommendation?
I wasn't sure whether to go with a lesbian movie or a women's sports movie. I went women's sports movie. The movie with Ellen Page, the roller derby movie, Whip It.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
And I thought that movie did the opposite of this movie, where I liked the sports stuff in that movie better than the relationship stuff in that movie.
Yeah.
That's
what I wanted out of this movie, though. I wanted to get more into the sports stuff. I was ready to.
Yeah.
And when I got too much relationship stuff, I think I was like, oh, come on.
Come on, get back to those crotch shots.
Yeah. I want to see more sweaty running. What are you doing to get into the Olympics?
Well, and that's another thing is I'm like, she's competing in 5 events. We barely see her do any shot put.
I know.
It was just hurdles.
I want to see more shot put.
It was hurdles, and it was high jumping crotch shots. That's the bulk of this movie.
That's the bulk of it. Yeah.
All right.
And a lot of boobs and bush.
Yep. So I guess if that's what you're looking for,
then this is your personal best.
There's other movies out there for that, folks. All right. So in 2 weeks, we are into August. And it's hot.
It's the heat of the summer.
Oh, it's uncomfortable, especially if you live in the city. And so we're going to cover the quintessential Spike Lee film, right?
Okay,
Do the Right Thing? Is that, would you say, have you ever seen it, first of all? No? Oh, okay.
No.
This is going to be fun. I think so. I think it's his best. I haven't seen it in a very long time, though. I'm looking forward to revisiting it. So that's what we're going to talk about. I think it's going to be a
good ride.
Yes. Do the Right Thing, Spike Lee film from 1989. And so that's it for us. Remember, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, GTGMcast. If you want to send us anything. I'm so excited. I'm like, oh, everybody please send us stuff.
It is great.
Yeah. So great. But if you do, for whatever reason, Let's say you feel bad that Jamie doesn't have anything.
Right?
And you
Maybe
have,
I need a t-shirt.
You have a last unicorn, I don't know.
Tank top?
I was going to say like a last unicorn Happy Meal toy of the era just lying around.
Yeah.
I assume there was some sort of tie-in with Burger King or McDonald's.
Do you have a Babes in Toyland snow globe, maybe, where I could shake up little Drew Barrymore in her little snow?
That's right, yeah. So just
exists.
contact us on social media, and I will make sure that Jamie gets that.
Thank you.
Or I'll keep it for myself, though. I'll keep saying things like, look what everybody keeps sending me. This is great. All right, but anyway, thanks for listening. The end. We'll talk to you next time.
Lynn Swan is pregnant.
I need to find more actresses who have eyebrows like that, like modern day
thing.
ones. Oh, Phil Collins' daughter, Lily Collins, she's got eyebrows like that. Phil Collins has eyebrows like that, and he's passed them on to his daughter.
I didn't know he had a daughter, but it makes sense.
She's in movies or something.